So many questions, even after an arrest in this case. So many
right.
questions. You know, Mike mentioned some earlier. How could the family have seen a child disappear and never have said anything after all these years?
Right, of course. And so, of course, for more insight, we have forensic psychologist Dr. Abuz von Ornsteiner with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So, is this typical behavior of a predator, someone who preys on children, other individuals?
Well, you're looking at someone who has a predatory nature and then is looking for opportunities. And unfortunately, if you look at an individual, we really look at this as a personality disorder, really an antisocial personality disorder. A layperson would say, you know, sociopathic behavior, but as a psychologist, I look at it as a personality disorder, and the personality traits are a lack of empathy, an ability to exploit, maim, molest, rape individuals, really for their own selfish lust. And on top of that is they are constantly looking, constantly searching, constantly scheming, constantly looking at ways where they can then get what they need, which is power and control over others.
Okay, looking at this case, 22 years ago, this little girl, 4-year-old girl, was killed, sexually abused. I mean, just awful what happened to her. How likely is it that there are other victims out there in the family or even outside the family?
Very likely, because the individual here with a predatory nature, it's a chronic trait to the personality. And unfortunately, with Baby Hope, this was a relative. This was someone who knew the family. This was an individual who knew that this was a child that was unsupported, neglected. You know, clearly this was a child that was unloved. And this was a excellent opportunity, unfortunately, to prey upon this child and then to satisfy his own lust with no consequence in the future, or so he thought, because you have this family that had this code of secrecy, this family that basically did not want to go to the police, and a mother who had diminished parenting skills and a father that had diminished parenting skills.
Well, I was just going to ask if you could speak to the fact that no one, neither the mother, nor the sister, nor the cousin, nor the uncle, no one came forward to say anything. What is in the psychology, what is in the mind frame of those people? You
know, in situations like this, of course, when we try to make sense of the senseless, we often look for blame, and that's normal and natural. And so, of course, you keep looking at the mother. Was this a mother that had diminished parenting skills? It was reported that she had 10 children, that they had 3 different fathers. She may have been overwhelmed. She may have been cognitively impaired. She had a husband that she was in fear of. She clearly was in fear of the police for whatever reason. And when parents use children as pawns, and he takes these other children, her lack of coping skills, possibly with 9 other children, she made a decision really to do nothing, which is making a decision to do just that. You can say it's fear-based, you can say it's a limited coping skills, but ultimately you have to have some accountability, and you'd want to see what is going on in the emotional brain of this mother and the father, in actuality, and the relatives. But it is a unique situation where nobody goes to the police, no one advocates for this child. It is a child literally that was unloved and lacked the support and attention that a child would normally get. If we hear a child cry, just in general, we feel the need to react. It's almost pre-wired in our brains. So the fact that no one seemed to care about this child really skews our perception on our society and on people that we would believe have the capacity to love.
Yeah, and we're learning now that Baby Hope, it wasn't just the murder, but she was abused for even years prior to being killed. And as I look at this story, I just think about all the other potential Baby Hopes that are out there right now, maybe being abused and no one is speaking up. I mean, how do we get people to speak up, doctor?
One thing is that for whatever reason, this parent gave her child to a caregiver, and this caregiver clearly had diminishing caretaking skills. She clearly didn't want this child. And so either they were, it becomes an exploited situation. Maybe she was just taking the child for payment from the father. Maybe she was just taking the child for food stamps. But there has to be neighbors. There has to be a community.
People who walk down the street. I mean, what can we do? What should we be looking for to stop this from happening again?
I'll tell you what I do. If I see a child by themselves on the street, I stop that child and I say, where's your mother? Where's your father? Who is here with you? If I see a child selling, this happened last year, I saw 2 little girls who were under 8, they were selling lemonade right on the street. just by themselves. And they said, would you buy some lemonade? And I said, first, where's your mother?
Right.
Where's your father? Where is the community? What school do you go to? When I have mothers that come to my program, I always have them bring their children in. How are you doing? How are you treating your child? Are you getting the benefits you need? Do you have the support services you need to raise this child? We can always ask those questions.
All right, good advice. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We want to thank Dr. Devon Ornsterner for his take on the story.
New York, the Pix 11 Morning News.